Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 146. Where I was black, my opponent played e4, and I played d5, the center counter or Scandinavian defense. So he took, which is normal, and I play knight f6. You see that's the second choice over here. But I like it a little better so your queen doesn't get chased around as much. And normally white would continue with d4, but this other move, knight c3, is also a good choice. But the main idea with knight c3 is after I take the pawn, to play the move bishop to c4. So let's check this out. Bishop c4, and you don't have to worry about knight takes, because you can take back with the pawn. And these doubled pawns are a little funny looking, but they give you extra center control, and there's open lines for your pieces, and you can tell by the computer evaluation that's a decent way to play. Instead, my opponent played d3, somewhat passive, and black gets an advantage at this point, and we're out of the opening book. So let's just look at the notation tab, and the advantage comes and goes, but for a long time now the game stays in the range of even to slightly better for black, and it's just easy to play. I have a little more space and good squares for my pieces, and it's a while before we make mistakes. We're just doing normal developing moves, and you know, he's got less control of the center, but he's got a solid position here with these pawns that keeps me from landing any of my pieces nearby and mounting any big attacks. So somehow I feel this ought to be a weakness, the e-pawn, but there's no direct way to attack it because the e-file is blocked by my own pawn. So I was having a little trouble figuring out what my plan should be here, but the moves played up until bishop c5 kept some advantage for black. So at this point, the chess engine thinks, yeah, I should push on with f5. The evaluations drop after a bit, after it thinks about it some more, so it's not really that great a move. But it's a way to continue the game and keep some edge. I guess the bishop is just a target here, and I'm giving up. I have the advantage of the bishop pair. And if I trade off one of those bishops, and I don't have it anymore, he only has one bishop and I have two. But the game continues, and even here, I guess the engine doesn't mind me giving up the bishop pair in exchange for some open lines. So it's once again thinks black is better. I wonder where that happened. Maybe castles. It was right after bishop c5. Sorry. b4. Okay, it thinks white should just harass my bishop and get some more space on the queen side. So b4, bishop b6, a4, and knight takes b4. a4 threatens to squash things. Okay, but it doesn't think it's so great after a deeper thought. Yeah, I don't think there's any need to play knight takes. There's no need to start sacrificing in a case like that. b4, bishop b6, b5, knight a5. Yeah, so he can push my pieces around a little bit, but still slight edge for black after further reconsideration. So these moves are all okay then, and even the exchange is good for me. But that's because of a tactic here that I missed during the game. So this is the first missed opportunity. This would have been an interesting way to play. After knight takes b6, I don't have to recapture immediately. And of course, this is how lots of tactics arise. It's you look for some other move other than the obvious one your opponent is expecting. And here I have another choice, and e takes f3. And so I'm threatening his knight and his bishop, but he can take my rook. And then I can take his bishop. And now his rook is under attack, so he's got to take back here, and then I can grab the knight. So the upshot of all that is I gave up a rook, and I got two pieces. So I have this bishop and this knight for one of his rooks. And 6 pawns versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 pawns. So the two pieces are actually worth slightly more than a rook and a pawn in general. In this particular case, white has a lot of center control here, so I don't know who's really better, but just from a material point of view, black has an edge here. And it's always interesting to play these unbalanced positions where you have minor pieces against a rook. Okay, but I just took back, yeah, so we were in this position. I just took the knight, and the game continued. Knight e1 was played because this knight is now being chased, and then I play knight e5, and these are keeping some advantage for black again. d4, knight d7, c3, just building up a center, and queen e7. So let's just click through a few moves here. You know, I am keeping this slight edge through all of these moves. It's kind of funny how, but never, I never really got anything. Never really got a strong attack going or anything. So I'm just trying to open up some lines here. So c5 is the beginning of my downfall, though. He plays knight c2, maybe not the best move. Chess Engine prefers queen b3 here, putting some pressure on my backwards pawns over here. So c5 was a bit of a loosening move for me and weakening. He didn't necessarily respond to the best way, but here, okay, I can get away with this tricky move, it seems like, and it stays about even. And what I miss in this position is that right here, yeah, there's a very funny move suggested by the computer, which you wouldn't necessarily think about unless you know what happens in the game. So if you look in the game, I play here thinking take, and then I can grab the pawn on e3, and I've got compensation. But after the first exchange, he throws in another one of these intermediate moves. He throws in the move rook e5, defending his pawn, attacking my queen, and I don't have any good reply. So what the chess engine is suggesting is right here, after knight e1 threatening to take my rook, I have the idea of taking back the pawn, and I just need to stop his rook from coming to I need to stop his rook from coming to e5 there and harassing my queen and defending his pawn. So it's suggesting the move f6. Just play that. And now we can take things. Say knight takes, e takes, and bishop takes, and then I can grab the pawn. And there's no rook move here because the f6 pawn is guarding that square. So pretty smart chess engine there. That's the way they are. So knight e1, I played rook e8, and that just doesn't help because it doesn't address this rook e5 idea. And now he's got his pawn back, and he's just doing better. And he does a nice job with his material advantage. Now he pushes these pawns forward, and I don't find the best way to stop them. I think there is an opportunity, yeah, somewhere along here. See, it suddenly dropped here. I had the opportunity here to play the move queen c6, and this is a nice move because it sets up a discovered attack on the king, so he can't just do something too casual. Queen c6, king g1, and then that buys me a tempo to move my king to e6, so it allows me to get my pieces into action a little bit quicker. I went to king e6 directly, and now he can play rook d1, threatening to come here with the queen. And now queen c6 is still a move here. And then this move rook e5 gives it away. I just wanted to stop his queen from coming into this square. Let's look at queen c6. I was afraid queen c6 would run into a problem with him just pushing the pawn. But he does have to move the king out of the way first because the discovery is too dangerous. And then king d7. Yeah, so that's the way to play it. And then, I have ideas of bringing this rook back. So it all comes down to one tempo. If I can get my king to e6 and get my queen, when my queen is not on d7, then e6 to d7 for the king is my best plan in this position to hold. Okay, I played king c6, e6 right away, rook d1, and rook e5. Yeah, instead of this queen c6. So just getting my king to that square. I should have been thinking about it. And also the fact that I have a tempo on this diagonal to help me get there. So at this point it's just losing, and they check start, and by the time we get to the end, I eventually resign here, and there's a forced mate here. If I go to the H file, it's a mate in 2, and if I go to the F file, the queen comes into G7 check. Yeah, looks pretty devastating. If we back up, this is also a neat tactic here. When he checked me on this diagonal, because my king can't move to any square that defends the queen, and then when I step away, I just lose the queen. So I had to sack a rook here. So I'm down big time in material at this point, and went on to lose the game. So anyway, I hope you guys found something instructive there. And if you have any comments, leave them in the section below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.